Yeah, we could
So
just work on it later. Yeah,
no,
you can share screen.
nothing like that. I was just like, oh, this could be cool, and then it didn't work. So
This could be real cool. All right, you guys ready?
could have
Yes.
been.
Oh, well, that's good. It's good to hear. So, how many of you guys caught Sunday night, or was it Sunday afternoon? Dallas Mavs, the game 6.
Didn't catch it.
Oh
I
God,
didn't.
no, that's good. That's good that you guys didn't catch that because
I caught game 5, and yeah, that really hurt a lot.
that's the only one I didn't watch. But when I checked the score with like 3 minutes left in the game, I was like, oh,
Okay.
oh, the Clippers are being the Clippers now. That's okay.
Oh.
That's nice. That's
There
real
you
nice.
go.
What was it?
Paul George figured it out. Great.
Yeah, and they still, I feel like in game 6, they still kind of stifled Paul George. Like Paul George had one big game in the series, and that was game 5. And I feel like when Kawhi and Paul George, are both in tune with one another, yeah, they can dominate. And they
Playoff
definitely
P.
want do what?
Playoff P.
Yeah, dude, like it what he does is phenomenal, but I just don't think he's been able to find his groove. Now, he did say that he was depressed, with the playoff bubble thing, and he just like couldn't get in the mode. I know it's an excuse. It is.
No. It's a
NBA
legitimate
code
thing.
where I can't fucking shoot for sure.
I haven't been able to nail my fucking shot. So there's this theory that I have about it, and I think it has to do with the protests that were going on that was prolonging the playoffs even further. I think Carlisle was in tune with the whole like, let's just get this season over with because another season's starting up here in a couple months. Because I can't explain why you held a 5-point lead at halftime over the Clippers after you climbed back from a 13-point hole. So it's like you did a good swing to get back in the game, and then you miss 13 straight 3-pointers. And when that happened, I was like, are they trying anymore? Or are they just like, you know what? Fuck it. This is going to go to game 7, and we're probably get edged out there. And if we win that, we got like 3 more series we got to play, and then we're going to go home for 2 weeks and get right back into it. Like, holy shit. Like,
But don't forget, the Clippers had the most invaluable player on their team, a guy by the name of referee.
yeah, it would have gone to game 7 if it wasn't for game 1.
No,
Also,
like,
I think
I've never seen a team that has had, and I'm sure it's Mark Cuban, but there has never been a team in any sport league that I've ever seen the refs be so adamantly against.
I don't know why. Do you think it's Mark Cuban? Do you think that's,
I do.
that's the issue?
I do,
like,
but
you have
like
a problem with him?
that shit with Morris and Luka, man, like that was like from 5 different angles fucked up.
Oh yeah. Are you talking about with the shoe, or are you talking about with the hit
Both.
across his head?
Both.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, I will say one thing about whenever he, took the hit to the head. Right when the quarter started, Luka already had his opinion that it was an intentional step on his bad ankle, removing the shoe, all that stuff. He didn't openly.
He's going to think that. I mean, what else are you supposed to think?
Of course.
It's you're in a high intensity situation, and your shoe is off because a guy stepped on your foot. And it's your hurt foot. You're going to think, come on. Oh, I'm sure he meant it as he didn't mean it at all.
It was a whoopsie doopsie.
Yeah.
He
And it
looked
very
like,
well could have been. But at the same time.
but I mean, they are perfect actors, and he did play it really well if he was going for the ankle. Like, he played it perfectly. But you could just tell by the extension of the leg that, yeah, he was going for it. And at the beginning of game 6, Luka like wasted no time at all just jawing at Morris. He immediately went after Morris. They were jawing at each other, and then the flagrant foul happened. And when that happened, if it wasn't for what's his name? Bogdanovich? Is that how you say his name? Big tall dude.
Marjanovic.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for him standing in front of Luka, I think
Boban.
Luka would have ripped off.
Just call him Boban.
Yeah, Boban. Like, if it wasn't for Luka, if it wasn't for him standing in front of Luka, I think Luka would have ripped his face off, Morris's, because he got hit, and the way Luka spun around to look at Morris, I was like, oh shit, he's about to beat the crap out of him, like right now.
And you know what's funny? At the end of the series, like they asked Luka about like Morris and the shit he did, like the step under the shoe, and Luka took the high road, and he was like, I hope it was unintentional. I don't want to play. I don't want to deal with players like that. And Morris responded with, "Cry me a river, Clippers in 6." And I was like, dude, make no mistake. I say this understanding that if you are a player in the NBA, no matter how lowly, you're better than about 90% of people that play basketball in the entire world.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The worst player in the NBA is better than everybody else.
But dude,
out there.
Morris, like, you're a fucking scrub. You're talking to like the future of the league, like a basketball player that is like 100 times better than you will ever be, no matter how much you practice. Shut the fuck up.
Maybe that's what makes him angry. Maybe that just pisses him off a little bit more.
I mean, you know what? I know we bitched about like Dwayne Wade in 2006, like how often he went to the rim for free throws.
And how many fouls weren't called? It's unreal.
Like from now on, I hope if someone looks at Luka incorrectly and he does a bashful like, I hope they get a fucking foul for that.
Because you could tell, like, because Luka was going to the rim whenever he got hit twice, and he got hit on top of the head and then on the side of the face with the second hit. And I was like, if they don't eject his ass immediately, this is a bullshit fucking series. Like there's no way. And it didn't take long for them to, categorize it. And I think what they were more looking at, it's kind of like football when it comes to like holding penalties or unsportsmanlike conduct. They already know that it's a penalty. They're trying to figure out how to enforce it. They're like, all right, so Morris is ejected, but how many shots does Luka get on that? Because he's got the foul plus the flagrant. Like, so he gets four free fouls or 4 free throws, but he can only make 3. So that means if he misses the third one, he gets a second chance at the third one. And so like they had to like explain all of that. And I was like, oh, they probably looked at that and were like, you're gone, bro. Like, yeah, we just got to figure out how to execute this foul now. It was a shame.
I hope more on the fucking coronavirus. Like, fuck that guy.
Well, I didn't watch every single game. I watched a handful. And basically the national coverage that I've seen out of this is that the Mavericks are an up and coming team. Luka is an absolutely dominant player, and he's going to be a force throughout his entire career. I mean,
oh yeah.
More so than this is more reverence than they have for Dirk Nowitzki. I don't know if you remember back whenever he first came in and everyone, he's a phenomenon. And yeah, he had the offensive chops, but everyone still, got on him about his defense and this or that. Oh, you'll never win a championship with Dirk. How many times did you hear that?
Oh yeah.
It was completely different this time. Completely different with this series. That Luka Doncic is the dominant player that will be around to come, or for the years to come. Like that's.
So,
and this is really cool to hear.
And I'm not saying that they threw the game, but I think that there was a lack of intensity in that second half compared to the first half. It was almost like, let's put on a show and then just kind of sit back, because the Clippers shooting percentage fucking sucked in the second half, but they still managed to keep a solid lead until Kawhi comes in the fourth quarter and just maintains that lead to win the game. And the reason why I find this like kind of a conspiracy a little bit is Rick Carlisle said they have already met and far exceeded the expectations of this season. And he said that before Game 6. So I think in his brain, he's like, we've done everything and proven more of what this team is capable of. And but
that's such a dangerous mindset to cultivate.
It is.
Such a that we've done enough work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a dangerous mindset to take, because the younger players, not necessarily Doncic, but other younger, more impressionable players, so just sit there and see that and think, oh, well, sometimes it's okay to ease up. When you're in a championship, when you're in the tournament,
I think I don't agree with the mindset, but I think it's more like realistically, and I hope Carlisle wouldn't have this attitude, but honestly, when it comes down to it, do you want to face off and beat the Clippers and move on to the next round, and hopefully Porzingis has a repair meniscus, and then we can maybe make it through the semifinals.
Almost okay.
Yeah, or do you want to be like just like we lost, we're out. Fucking rest. We're gonna sign some people in the off season because everyone wants to come to Dallas now. Like,
Oh yeah, after seeing that,
are you shitting me?
after seeing that,
Yeah,
they're gonna have their pick of the
I
big
know.
third
the
man.
line out the door. So yeah. Do you want to like say we could maybe at best if we're fucking lucky, maybe make it to the conference finals and have hobbled Luka and Porzingis,
Yeah,
or just be like, you know what? Look at what we did
it
without
makes perfect
Porzingis
sense.
in games.
I get it. I'm just saying it's a dangerous road to go down if you're going to go down that path.
But this is
Well,
a
I mean,
good season to take that path.
You both
For
agree.
sure, absolutely, for sure. I will not dispute that.
You both agree because I've only watched a little bit of Porzingis and Luka throughout the season. I'm not allowed to watch because I bring bad luck to the team. Injuries happen. So Porzingis is really detrimental injury. Mason, that was probably my fault too for trying to follow them in the playoffs with all the free time I have.
Not your fault. No one knew he had a fucking torn meniscus and got like 2 games in a row where he had over 20 and 10 or something like that.
Yeah,
right.
He ended up he played the 2 games after he tore it, and then he had
the last game he played at like 35 and 8 or something.
Yeah, but so you can see and so going along with that conspiracy, you can see with them both, in tandem, they had a very viable shot against the Clippers, more than what they shown, during the season. Now, I don't know if during the 4 games in the season that Porzingis and Luka were both present all 4 games. But when they're both present, it's a different team than compared to just one or the other against the Clippers. So with Porzingis being out, and, he tried, all the way up until like game 5, I think it was game 6, where they were like, it's a torn meniscus, I'm out. But he wouldn't elect for
like game 3, I think, or game 4, whatever. He was ruled out.
He was ruled out, but he
tore it in game 1, and then he played game 2 and 3 after.
So I think, so game 4, so he was a game time decision. He sits out. Luka hits the game winner in overtime. So then game 5.
That was so sweet.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So game 5, he was a game time decision or an early morning decision. No, he's not ready. That's fine. In game 6, same thing, but now he's ruled out, potentially for the rest of the playoffs. But he elected not to get a surgery just in case, if the injections work and they do somehow advance to the next round, that's it. So as Carlisle, I look at this and go, okay, with the Black Lives Matter protests, holding up the season, with Porzingis, officially out, Luka with the sprained ankle. We're already months past when this season was supposed to end. It's about to start up again. I think in your brain for one time, it's okay to go, hey guys, we did everything we possibly could. You know what? Go home to your families, go have some fun, and we'll see you. Get out. Yeah, get out of the fucking bubble and just go. And I see that. So and that's where I'm like, the 13 missed threes that were like so uncharacteristic. I'm like, I feel like they're just like, you know what? Fuck it. Go Clippers. This is your year. Go. Like, it's not, but yeah, go ahead. Have fun. So
you think the Lakers are going to take them out?
Dude, I do. I think the Lakers can do it. I do. Unless Kawhi is just an asshole to him the whole time, which is very possible. But I mean, I do see that the Lakers can, make some real solid moves and take it. Because at first, during the bubble games, they weren't playing really well, the Lakers. Like, they were really rusty. But lately, they've really started to gain steam.
Portland, what, they're up 3-1, or have they passed them now, right?
Oh yeah, they passed them.
They're out.
Did they? Portland? Well, Portland didn't even get in. Portland didn't hit the nope. No, they had it, and then like the last game of the bubble, it knocked them out. I forgot who got the 8th seed though. I'll have to look again though. 99% sure. Yeah, Portland got out. But, or am I wrong? I might be wrong on this actually. No, Portland did get in. It was no. It was the Suns. The Suns went 8-0 during the bubble and had the 8th seed, and Portland knocked the Suns out of the playoffs with the last game. That's okay. I was backwards. Yeah. You're right. Second thing I want to talk about. I know this is a really long intro, but the Stars. So the Stars. I was watching because I only follow hockey in the playoffs, and that's the only time I can really talk to you guys about this. But Ben Bishop.
The Nuggets are next.
The Nuggets are next?
Yeah, Clippers and Nuggets, and LA versus whoever wins between the Rockets or Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting they're so far behind the hockey playoffs. Like I've been riding the hockey playoffs, and they're about to go into their conference championships.
Yeah,
so like they're
It's
so far
ridiculous.
further along than the basketball. That blows me away.
Okay, so how much, Dustin? You know, you're really avid. I know you are too, Mason. But Dustin, I have a question for you. How much do you trust Ben Bishop?
I trust that he is injured and shouldn't have been on the ice at all the other night.
5 goals in the first
4.
period. Was it 4?
He only let 4 through.
Oh, okay. But there was 5
No,
goals.
Yeah. 5 goals in the first period, but he let 4 through, and then
okay.
Hudobin came in and let the first one he saw go through, and then shut it down after that.
That's just too deep of a hole to climb out of.
Oh, absolutely.
The hockey gods telling us to fuck off.
Well, no. The crazy thing is, like, something I noticed that about this series, unless you've really been following it, you wouldn't know it. Every single game that's played, the momentum shifts, and then it stays with each person throughout that next game. Like, for instance, the night whenever they whooped them up.
Game 4?
Yeah, game 4. And sure, they whooped up on them, but toward the end there, and they scored 2 or 3 goals right at the end of the game.
To make it look like a more even.
But that momentum, because they're playing the very next day, just carried that over, and they were pissed off that they lost the game, and they had some momentum coming from the game from the night before. Like, look, we scored a few goals on them. It doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter.
5 that quick.
They showed up. Well, all they did was show up and change up their lines. Yeah. And then instead of the Stars playing their game, instead of they're playing their control, puck handle, like get the puck, keep the puck, shoot the puck. As if they get off, the Avalanche got them off their game by switching their lines up, and now the Stars are trying to adjust to them instead of playing their game. And then now they're chasing, and then now, oh shit, the puck's in the net. All right, well, no more after this.
Shit.
All right, we're chasing again. Oh look, the puck's right back in the net. Like it just, yeah. So it just, that's the way that playoff hockey works, man. One team adjusts and the other team has to adjust back. And if they can't, you're not going to win.
So what do you, so when it comes to the rest of the series, I mean, I know Colorado had the better season. They have a better record. I think they're seated 1 above the Dallas Stars right now. And, but the Stars, I feel like it is, and it has a lot to do with momentum. I get it, but they've shown that they're the more dominant team. Are you scared if they lose tonight that Game 7 is not going to look pretty for the Dallas Stars?
It's gonna be like a 2 overtime.
Oh God, I hope not. That's
don't
exhausting.
Do it. That happened last year against the Blues. Don't put that evil on us, man.
Always does.
Don't put that evil on us.
I think they have a shot.
It very well might. The Stars have not had a great closing record as far as getting into the Western Conference Finals. They haven't been since 2008.
Oh, so it's 3-1 Avalanche now.
Oh, damn it. I was just going to pull up the score, too. So 3-1 Avalanche.
Man, I've got to pause. I was going to watch it. Spoiler
Mason,
alert.
shut up. God, it's his fault. I wasn't just about to say the same thing. No, not at all. This is episode number 116. Right now, we got like maybe 2 whopping people watching with us. We got Ethan and Sanisha. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. My name is Mike. To the left of me is Mason Blakely, and to right below us, holding us all up, he's a power bottom. His name is Dustin Hunter. How are you guys doing this evening? Mason, you were saying that you were a little bit tired. I feel the same way. Just exhausted. How about you, Dustin?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same, man.
Dude,
you see, this is the energy we need to bring to every podcast.
This is the one.
It's like a sensory overload. I was talking to Chase about this earlier, and he was like, I was saying that I didn't know what we were talking about for the show tonight because there's nothing really new happening. Hey, that same stuff that was going on last week, it's still going on. Hey, remember that stuff that was happening a month ago? It's still happening.
And
and this is Joe Biden's America.
So
this is what it will look like. No. This is not Joe Biden's America. This is what it will look like in Joe Biden's America. That's a
It's
very,
all
very.
a dream.
Y'all
This is
think
the
like
one-
never,
It's just, man. It's just like I said. It just feels like sensory overload. I'm just getting news left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
do you think
I
whenever
agree.
Trump says like this is what Joe Biden's America is going to look like, it's like that part in South Park when it was David Blaine versus Jesus, and David Blaine's doing all this magical shit, and then Jesus was like, "All right, I'm going to turn this water into wine. Turn around." Turn around. It's like a massive auditorium. People are like, turn around. And they turn around. He like dumped out the water and put in wine. He's like, ta-da.
No, this was so usually whenever we do these episodes, we probably meet up, about 5-10 minutes before we go on. I've written plenty for the show, and it does have a lot to do with a lot of topics that's already happened that I sent to you guys yesterday. I was like, here's what I got if you guys got anything else. And so when I was doing research on some of these topics, I'm fucking tired right now. And so when Mason joins, he's like, man, I'm just completely exhausted. This was going to be like the first time we all got together. I'm like, look, if you guys don't even want to go live and you just want to shoot the shit for a little bit and just call it a night, I'm okay with that right now. And then Mason's like, no, let's do it. Let's go. And I'm like, but some energy in my heart was like, no, I feel like I'm going to start bitching. And when I start bitching,
we're going to shoot the shit while being live. And so you're forced to listen to our conversation.
Well, then you know what? How about from now on, you control when we go live. And if it just sounds like we're shooting the shit, you're like, oh, this is going to be a good episode. You just go live with it and I don't even know about it. That probably would be a better option. What are you guys drinking this evening?
Only the classiest.
Yeah, Lone Star last week and PBR this week, dude. Fucking love it.
Delicious brews.
Oh, it's for.
I was telling Autumn about it. I was like,
for the plebs.
Like a six pack of PBRs, like just over $5.
Yeah.
And I love the high end beer. I love like tasting the new things and whatever. But when it comes to PBR and Budweiser, whatever, just shut the fuck up and drink the beer because it's all good.
It's all good. Like people who knock it like, oh, it's
Bush, because Bush had a Phil Collins commercial back in the 80s, and so I'll never drink Bush. But other than that, you're fine. Just shut up and drink your beer.
I hate when my dad, I guess, he's a Dos Equis drinker, so what a normie, right? Anyways, so he was telling, he hates the fact if I ever bring over like 6 PBRs, like not the tall boys, but the one like the 16-ounce cans, I'll bring those on over. And he's like, God, how do you drink that piss water? I'm like, this is the greatest cheap beer on the fucking planet. I don't know. Have you ever been
Rolling Rock?
I've never had Rolling Rock. Actually,
really good, clean, crisp, cheap beer.
I feel like Rolling Rock, every time I look at like the bottle, I think of diet water and I'm like, I don't want to drink that. It doesn't look, maybe because it has like the Rockies.
American Heineken.
Oh, okay. Well, I hate Heineken.
No. It's not like it tastes like Heineken, but it's more like along that vein.
Okay.
Like
it's like a beautiful golden shower.
Oh, you can never go wrong with a beautiful golden shower. No, so when it comes to Heineken, though, I always get like this, like really skunky. I don't know, like this bitter, skunky
That's the point.
Like I can't stand it. Well, Dustin, what are you drinking right now?
A nice, delicious Cooper and Thief Pinot Noir.
Oh,
Looks nice, dude. That's
It's
exciting.
Also water.
Charmed.
I'm
Drinking
drinking a Natty Light seltzer myself. This one's called the Catalina Wine Mixer, and I've been drinking it since I don't know, like 7:45. So this has been a really long time that I've been drinking this one Natty Light seltzer, and it's fucking delicious. Yeah, and on the side, I still got my world famous grape juice. So
mixing, all right.
Before we go into the main topic that's going to just make us rub our eyeballs and fall asleep, I want to go ahead and send out the condolences to the family of Chadwick Boseman, who died tragically on Friday was it Friday? I believe it was. Yeah.
So random.
It was. But the thing is that he really kept that part of his life private. And what's so weird is, people say that on social media, they were making fun of, how thin he was. I didn't really see anybody making fun of that. I think they were more just confused, like, yeah. And they were just, they were saying, oh, people were calling him a crack addict or whatever. I was like, I never saw any of that shit. I think more people are like, why is he so thin? Well, because he's going through a fuck ton of chemo. You just don't know about it. But yeah, so I think he had stage 4 colon cancer, and he finally succumbed.
From what I heard, he was diagnosed with stage 3, I think just before they did that last Avenger film.
It was 2017 or 2018, right? It was stage 3.
Well, maybe the first first Avenger film he was in, rather. Was it not?
It was Endgame, right?
I think it was Infinity War.
Oh, okay.
Endgame came out last year.
Right. No, you're right.
So I think he was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer before that one, and then it progressed, and he ended up moving on to stage 4, and that was whenever they started going more aggressive towards it, and that's
Well, so he was diagnosed in 2016. And of course, now all the facts come out of what he's been battling for the last 4 years. And what's crazy about that is, his first movie, his major breakthrough was 42. And I think that Jackie Robinson film came out, I'd like to say 2012.
I'm going to bet 12.
Yeah, I think it was 2012. And what's interesting about that is he's not been, a long time major actor, in the industry. It's only been within the last.
Big movies have been the last 4 years.
Yeah, well, about 7 or like 42. Okay, it was 2013. And so that when that came out, that was his first major role. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. It was a really, really good movie.
Harrison
Jackie
Ford
Robinson
was fantastic also.
Oh yeah. He was he wasn't the coach, was he?
Or he was the owner.
He was the owner. That's what it was. Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford in 42. Yeah, he was the owner, and he was because he was the guy's like, I didn't want any. I wanted you. Like, you can take it.
Yeah, because you can handle the pressure of the league.
Is that the role where he was really grumpy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he wouldn't give any sympathy to him, for being the first black player, and that's basically how the owner treated that, was just like, no, I'm using you for your talents. You can handle what's about to come flying at you. But he's like, I'll stand by your side, but I'm not going to give you any sympathy for it. It was actually a really cool role, what Harrison Ford played in that. But that's what made Boseman a real star. I didn't know that he started out as a soap opera actor. I think it was All My Children, I believe, is what he started off in. And then from 42 is when he really started getting the bigger, higher profile roles, Gods of Egypt, Captain America, Black Panther, and then going into Avengers. And so you got to think, and this is my theory on it, is 2013, you moved to LA in 2008. It took about 5 years for you to get that first major role. And then 3 years after your first major role, when you finally made it, you get diagnosed with major colon cancer. And I feel like when that happens, you don't want to play the sympathy card. You don't want anything, one, it's your business, what your medical issues are. And he didn't. You know what he did? He just made the most of his career with what he had.
He's just like, you know what? All right, well, this is happening. Better make the best of everything, the most of everything. And he did. Good for him, man.
Exactly. Like you almost have to celebrate that kind of, attitude.
Well, not just that. And there's another perspective that none of the three of us could ever really get there. But I've seen so many tweets and posts about how important it was that he played that role, and how great of a job meaning Black Panther.
Yeah, right.
But how important it was that he played that role, and how well he did, and how there was a black superhero now. Well, not that there wasn't one before, but one with his own movie.
Not like that.
One with his own movie, with an all-black cast, pretty much, with a black director. Like, just, oh my God, Disney did something right for once. And just how powerful that is and how important that was. And the fact that he was a part of it and able to do that was just impressive and great. And
I agree.
So
I agree, because that was the first, I think it was the highest grossing all African-American film of all time. Black Panther was. I think it was the first all black production as well, which I know is backed by, a lot of major money with Marvel as well. But that's the first all black production, just to show the power of, the black community when it comes to Hollywood and also, their production skills. What I do know, and I want to
David Bowie, how he like no one knew he had cancer, no one knew he was diagnosed with anything, and he just like, oh, David Bowie's releasing an album, and he's just like still doing all this shit. Then all of a sudden he dies, and we're just like,
whoa, yeah,
oh, you had cancer, and like the last picture of him, like it was like a photo shoot, and he's like smiling, just like looked like David Bowie, and like Chadwick Boseman was like going to children's hospitals and stuff, like looking like there was not a thing in the world wrong, and that he was just Black Panther, and maybe he lost weight for a movie role, but didn't let on, didn't say shit in interviews, because it's none of our business.
It's not. It's none of our business.
And I think he may have even had that mindset of, maybe it was an optimistic prognosis. Maybe they were like, hey, dude, everything's looking good, and then he just, passed. So either way, he carried himself very with much dignity.
Absolutely, and what I do like about that is that he kept it all about his career, and it's a career cut short way too quickly for something that was obviously starting to skyrocket, because he had all the small roles, guest roles, and a lot of television dramas, soap operas.
An 8-year career.
Yeah, and he built up to it. And Nikki's watching right now, and she said apparently Denzel paid for him to go to acting school. So when I looked that up, he apparently paid tuition, a portion of his tuition, back when he was in acting school. I didn't know that. That's great. So it's obviously,
I saw that somewhere.
Yeah. So
and he actually I forget what the publication was, but he gave like a little, this is my heart is breaking kind of a thing to some publication.
He probably had, he saw and witnessed the potential of what kind of actor, and it could be even the character of who he was, Chadwick Boseman. I mean, that's
anything.
That's nuts. And it is. It's such a shame, that he died. I was, we were hanging out with Mason Autumn, and then Mason said, whoa, Chadwick Boseman died. And I was just like, what? What do you mean he's dead? And you're like, yeah, cancer. And I was just like, wow.
And actually, the most shocking thing to me was whenever I saw that Chadwick Boseman died. It said at the age of 43, and I was like, he was fucking 43?
Yeah, and so right now we're also we're joined by Prentice and Mike, and Mike just said also like how much he loved the movie 42. Like 42 was his big breakout.
It's a big breakthrough. I mean,
it really is. So I want to.
That's a lot to be the main lead of a movie in general, not just a black dude playing one of the most famous figures in modern history. I mean,
yeah, I agree. And it's also not just, that's not what defined his career either. It was just playing like a major.
But that was figure. the big.
That's what started.
Hey, that guy over there. Let's watch that guy.
Yeah, what's his name? I always get this confused too, because I'm like I don't know why it is, but when I go Chadwick Boseman from 12 Years a Slave, I'm like, that's Chiwetel. Chiwetel, how do you say his last name? Ejiofor?
Ejiofor.
God, Mike.
Ejiofor, yeah. And I always mix up
the whole point.
Chiwetel. What? I missed the whole points.
You just think every actor, they're all the same. They're all the same movie.
That's not what I'm
Jesus.
saying.
Hey, Mason, do you remember when LeVar Burton was in 12 Years a Slave?
I loved Eddie Murphy and Django.
You're talking about Eddie Murphy from the Lakers? Is that who you're talking about right now? No, that's not what I'm fucking saying right now.
Will Smith did great in Glory.
Oh, yeah.
No, I know it was Chiwetel Ejiofor that played in 12 Years a Slave, but every time I think Chadwick Boseman, I immediately say 12 Years a Slave, and I'm like, he didn't play in that, and I don't know why. It's just something I fucking do to get off my ass. Anyway, so moving on, I want to open this up and discuss. It's starting with George Floyd, and apparently the toxicology came back, and how this is going to open up the argument even more. Now, I actually looked at the interviews, or not the interview, the testimony, the court documents, and everything else that was in it. And all it was, and all that this medical examiner said was just, this is what we found, this is what we did, without talking about action. This was his toxicology report. That's it. That's it. It doesn't lean one way or the other. And he had 11 milligrams per liter of fentanyl in his body.
Do we know what the normal, if he were being prescribed fentanyl, what would be the normal amount?
I think they were saying it was like 3 milligrams per liter or something like that. It's low. It's low. Now he's a bigger guy.
He had three times alleged, like the typical lethal dose of fentanyl.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much of fentanyl to kill you. And so when I started researching like how they grade fentanyl, how they grade the deaths, and compare the deaths to the level of fentanyl that was in the body. Some of them were 32 milligrams per liter. Some of them were 28 milligrams per liter, but they were found dead.
Everybody's different. I mean, every lethal dose is like just very.
Of course, anything above this amount, and so when the examiner was asked, is that a lethal dose? He says, yes, it is a lethal dose. The thing is, though, is he said, I'm not discussing the actions that were done. I'm not discussing this. This is what was in there, and this is considered a lethal dose. Now, that's already been flipped, and it said, he didn't die from asphyxiation due to what the cop did. He died from an overdose of fentanyl. Which is not what the medical examiner said. The medical examiner said this is what was in his body.
No, but what they're going to say, and this is, the legal system is very, very, oh man, I don't even know the right phrase to use, but the thing is, it exists for a reason, and if you were on the bad end of it, you would want it to exist in this way, as we would.
You have to present all facts.
As we get angry reading it, reading it this way. That the thing with George Floyd is what the lawyers are gonna try and prove, his defense lawyers, or the Chauvin, Derek Chauvin, right?
Yes, because that's the case it's on. Yeah.
What they're gonna have to, all they have to ask, and this is what's stupid too, is that they're going for murder. I think first degree murder.
Third.
Okay.
It's third degree murder.
I don't know. I don't know.
Killing of someone, unintentional killing of somebody, essentially.
Yeah, it wasn't premeditated. Yeah,
it wasn't premeditated. They called, the ambulance and everything. But all what the lawyers are going to say is, if he did not have fentanyl, because he had fentanyl and methamphetamine. Yeah. So. Now that is
which is one's an upper, one's a downer.
Person, and that's what it's gonna fuck with your heart. He could have been like, the saying, I can't breathe, even before he had the knee on him. And I'm not fucking defending the cops, so don't fucking come at me with that. Right? I'm saying, like, from the legal standpoint, they're gonna say if he didn't have, like, they're gonna ask some medical person if he didn't have fentanyl and methamphetamine, what would that have been the case, and they're going to say that did contribute to the death.
Yes.
And so that the officer is going to get off on the charges because it's going to be so hard to prove that degree of murder. And like if he went with like manslaughter, and I don't know the rules either, and I don't know if it's like federal or just state, but like I think Autumn was telling me, or someone, maybe you were, Mike, if when it comes down to it, sometimes they'll take the lesser charge. Like if you get off on this charge, you'll get maybe the lesser charge.
Right.
Like if it goes up like
that. It's a deal.
Yeah.
That's going to depend on if it's a plea deal. Like,
right.
Yes.
But
I don't want a felony on me, so instead of charging me for this. I'll plead guilty to this and do less time. And yeah.
And what
Yeah,
we're gonna see is fucking riots that made those previous riots for George Floyd look like Chuck E. fucking cheese. Like,
well, that's where the argument's going to come in, because once again, those people who have protested peacefully, and then the riots begin, and now we're getting to the point of shooting, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. Whatever. Ethan just said, I read he had 3 to 4 times the lethal dose in him as well. Yes.
Right.
That's what. So that's now that's all it says. That's all it says. It doesn't
But
say that is the reason.
There did not need to be a knee on the neck. Like that is evil.
And there is.
But then they have to prove that that's what killed him, and they're not going to be able to prove that that's what killed him.
Exactly. And there's a doctor that had also said, having witnessed the asphyxiation happen, that he was unresponsive, I believe, for 2.5 minutes of the 9 minutes that he was being knelt on, which is negligence. Which still plays into the murder 3. So that's still the other side of the argument. But what people want to hear is that, he was a criminal. He was doing illegal things. He was doing this, like downplay the actual situation, what's going on. So they got thug, and then they got riots. And then outside of that, they're going to look for any reason to just kind of cripple just to support their side. And so with that being said, this main topic, and I wrote this in our outline, there's a thin line between political affiliation and justice. It's almost like justice gets thrown out the door if it doesn't align with what you believe politically. Yeah. And that to me is almost like, what's the word? You're completely misguided in the terms of like what the justice system is in the United States.
Right. In all honesty, most people, when they think justice, what they really mean is vengeance.
Yes.
Yeah. What they really want is the correct people to get punished. Or this person who, well, he only raped her a little bit, but he's such a good boy.
What's his name? Brock Turner?
Versus that scum. He touched her shoulder, put him away for life.
And this is the one thing, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong about Brock Turner, but it goes back to what you're saying, Mason, about the legality of things, right? About how, like, the toxicology results are going to play into this favor while this plays into this. Was it murder? Was it manslaughter? Was it, take a plea deal, whatever it is that might happen. With Brock Turner, because Brock Turner, I believe, only served like 2 months. It was something very minimal that he spent in prison for what he did. But he served for, I believe, attempted rape. It wasn't rape. And the reason being that it wasn't rape was because he was caught before raping her. And the legal point gets into play. But it's true, right? So some people defended Brock Turner by saying, well, he made a mistake.
I didn't get the chance to rape her.
You see, and that's the problem.
If only those two dudes that had happened upon him, who actually, one of them claimed to cry because of what he witnessed this kid doing to that girl. If only those two dudes had only waited, I don't know, another 10 seconds for insertion. Now he can be prosecuted as a rapist.
And the judge is like,
it's wild.
The boy has a point, he didn't rape.
And that's the thing. And
no. He's a strong swimmer, and this kind of a conviction would really mess with his future.
Oh, it was fucked up. It was fucked up how they defended it. I 100% agree. But that's when the legality, that the justice, actually comes into it. Did he rape her? And I've had this conversation like with Mary, with my parents, and like, it's fucked up. I'm like, it is fucked up. But this is where it gets more fucked up. Yes, and that's stupid. It is. Ethan just said Brock Turner served 6 months in prison.
That's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to.
It was a small. It was
an idiot.
I get it on a legal level because it's the difference. And like you said, Dustin, this comes down to vengeance, or a word similar to it. Like if you walked in to an attempted rape, like if you walk into the room at a party and there's a girl that a guy was trying to rape, and you, before anything happened, you knew this, and you like beat the fucking piss out of him, they're going to be like, yeah, you stopped the rape. Congratulations. But as far as, the convictions,
He didn't rape her. That's fucked up.
And it is, but there's reasons for it, and I don't like it, but
it makes you want to tear your face off.
You have to look at it. You have to look at it in another way too. Like if basically the deepest way I put it is like I go to the death penalty when it comes to like when looking at certain laws and looking at certain like the way the laws are implemented, and also like defense attorneys. So like with the death penalty, which I'm against, when people look at that law and they say, well, I think, if you commit a crime, you should be executed for it. And then you can argue like, yeah, but what if that person didn't do it? And then they would make the argument that, well, if one person gets wrongfully executed, but 10 people get rightfully executed and the system's working. But you wouldn't say that if that was a family member, or if that was a brother or uncle or father.
Somebody close to you.
Right.
I wouldn't say that in general, because one wrongful conviction and one wrongful death means that the whole system is in trouble. And
well, exactly. But we're
so, whatever.
We're talking about
that could never happen.
We're talking about people that their brains can't think past themselves. And it's the same thing with the whole concept of defense attorneys. Like when you have like horrible serial killers or rapists on trial, and like who could defend them? Like who could fucking possibly be their defense attorney?
Lawyers.
The whole point. Huh?
Some of them wants money and fame.
Well, yeah, but in a more ideal sense, someone like the whole point of defense attorneys, like defending that, is not defending their actions, but making sure that they are given the fair trial that they're granted by the Constitution.
Absolutely, you're right. I meant more in like Robert Kardashian style. Like I meant more like,
sure,
high profile thing. But yes, you're absolutely right. A proper defense attorney who's doing their job correctly is there to ensure that you receive a fair trial, not that you get off free specifically,
but you get
your rights are being advocated for, and you're getting a fair shake.
And with that comes the scumbags. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what it comes down to with the laws. Like, yes, it seems, and it's not perfect, as we know. It's not. We have one of the most notorious criminals in U.S. history as president of the United States. But but you have certain laws in place to make sure that people. It's as shitty as it is. If you cannot prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this person is guilty, you can say like, oh, I know in my fucking heart that they are, but if you can't prove it, if you were in that situation, you would want that same treatment. You would want like, okay, yeah, if you didn't commit the crime but you're accused of it, you would want that same like, okay, we can't prove that he did it.
Absolutely.
And you would appreciate that. But when it just alters based on our own emotions, on our own feelings, and that's
biases.
Our own biases, exactly.
It's almost like
to George Floyd, the cop might, if they go for that particular charge, might likely get off. For racial tensions, it's not good. For the legals, no, I'm not even gonna say it's good for the legal system, because cops all have that thin blue wall.
Qualified immunity.
Yeah. That's a different.
It's almost like you need especially for crimes of the sexual nature, you almost need like a Minority Report-esque kind of thing to happen where they just predict it in the future. You're going to do this. Now, there are certain circumstances where it might change. I'm sorry. Because with Brock Turner, those two guys who were fucking angry at what he was doing saved his fucking life. At the end of the day, it saved his life because there was you didn't do it. You didn't do it, and we stopped you because we're two good Samaritans that are like, what you're doing is fucked up. We're going to call the police. We're going to do this, whatever. But that saved him because he didn't.
They ran up and say, bro, your swimming record, bro. Don't do it, bro.
Please, bro, listen to me, bro. Like, it's fucked up, dude. It's absolutely fucked up. But the problem with that is we run into it time and time again. You know, you run into it with Trayvon Martin. You've run into it with, you know, other victims of police brutality. But then that's still the thin blue line between political affiliation and justice. But it also has to do with lawyers and the whole legal process and what's allowed in court and what's not allowed in court and who you can afford. You know, and there's another thing that I kind of want to talk about where, you know, I saw this thing floating around on social media.
Before that, don't get me confused. Like all that I said earlier, I'm talking about strictly, the legalities of it.
Oh, fuck yeah, I know. Oh, don't get me confused either. I know Brock Turner's an asshole.
Because Brock Turner got a judge that probably got jerked off by a little boy and Brock Turner's dad knew or something. Or maybe like the police are, you know, just like, yeah, you shot a black person, but it's only 3/5 of the person, so it doesn't matter. There are fucked up shit like that. The justice system does not have justice to it. So I was talking about the straight, like, I'm not a lawyer understanding of the law, how it should be, not these asshole judges and these asshole cops and their lawyers that get off on the fact that, yeah, the cop was brutal, but did you know he has PTSD?
Well,
you know, once too many times.
Sure, it looked really bad. The video made it look a lot worse than it was. Also, did you realize that the perpetrator, about 6 years ago, posted an Antifa meme?
Guilty.
So
did you hear about that?
So
Checkmate.
Checkmate, liberals.
From Pizza Inn in 2007. So
Pizza Inn?
Those double that
Pizza Inn.
Back
basement. Nobody said basement. Pizzagate.
And it does. And the problem with as we continue this, you know, there was another thing that was floating around social media and talking about, you know, money for lawyers and what you have. It's so funny how as kids, you know, you would hear in these like kids movies, like, you'll be hearing from my lawyer, from a rich person, because now that really makes sense because they have like the best fucking lawyer in the world. And it's like, oh, when you're rich, you get the people who get you off, you know, both sexually and legally. Like, this is what they do. This is their job because they get paid shit tons of money. What was her name from Full House? Was it Lori Loughlin?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I've been seeing this one float around about, you know, how she was like faking admissions for whatever, you know, for her kids. So she got some time, a small amount of time in prison for it. Whenever there was
3 months.
It was small. It was small. I know that. I don't know the exact, but I know it was very small.
Her partner got 6 months and she got like 3 months or 2 months.
She got 2 months and 17 hours for good behavior, probably.
So then, you know, so when they compare that, you know, to a black woman who, you know, got 5 years in prison for lying on a public record about her address because she was putting the address of a friend's house, you know, that lived in a different district so her kid can go to that school because it's better. She got 5 years in prison. So they're like, what's, you know,
to crack down on this type of crime.
So the thing is that, you know, this is something that goes beyond race because it looks racial when you go side by side. No, that's money. That's all fucking money. That woman did not have the money to hire a lawyer that could boil this down and find all the loopholes. She may have had a public defendant. She may have had something that couldn't provide the adequate, you know, sources that she needed to make sure that she's not serving 5 years in prison. Lori Loughlin got the best lawyer her money could buy, and now she's only serving 3 months. So that's the difference. The difference there is money and where the distribution of wealth goes, which also goes into socioeconomic inequality, which bleeds into everything else that we all fucking believe in, but nobody else wants to fucking look at because I work so hard for my stuff. Why can't you? And it's like, these are the fucking
problems. By your own bootstraps.
That's I support Black Lives Matter, but my only criticism of Black Lives Matter is I would take it just slightly up a notch and make this not a race thing. I'm not saying that as a white man. I say this as as someone that's always been nowhere near past that upper crust. You know, nowhere close to it. Black Lives Matter, yes, but they're screwing you with the money, man. Like this is a socioeconomic thing. It is a race thing too, in many regards. but mostly
The wealth disparity.
we are it's the Black Lives Matter is again something I support, but this is something like the racial tensions, and I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but man, they want that. The rich would rather have that racial tension than us.
Than them looking at you. Yes.
You know, like if you know, what are the odds? You know, they like to bring up, like you said jokingly, Dustin, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But what's the more likely outcome? Like you're born, you know, there's Richard Sherman who's born in Compton and ended up going to I think Stanford and getting drafted by the NFL. You know, okay, what's the percentage of that happening?
It's 0.0000001.
0.0000 Richard Sherman.
So,
you have someone in fucking Compton that is just as, you know, a black kid born in Compton.
yeah, was it Larry Allen? Larry Allen for the Cowboys. He was from Compton, and he was like, he had like little college experience. He was just a big fucking dude. Like,
but you know,
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It's just like,
but even
is it going to happen to you?
Even with the brains, like you have people that are just equally capable of being lawyers and doctors, but they're not given the education or abilities. So if you're born in a nice suburban New Hampshire home versus a place in fucking what's it called now, the Bishop's Art District.
Oh, gross. Just say Deep Ellum. Say
Oak Cliff.
Say Oak
No,
Cliff. Say whatever.
say it.
Say it.
Take the ghettoest city in the world and take the most affluent, and you take two kids that are born on the same day that have just an equal amount of ability and potential as a person. Which one's going to make it to college? And no one talks about that because it usually doesn't affect them. And those are two like extreme things. I'm talking about super rich and super, you know, just these neighborhoods that don't have the infrastructure, don't have the you know, even the amount of teachers needed to teach the amount of students that they would have, just even things as small as that. But then you all say, well, this is America. We all have the same chance. Like, no, we don't have the same chance. I'm very sorry.
There's a division, and it's almost like, you know, but the thing is I agree 100% with what you said right there. You know, the rich few would rather have, and, you know, if all of Mama were listening right now, you know, she has always said they would rather have you divided and arguing with each other than focusing on a real problem when it comes to, she said, either the government or the wealthy or whatever. Like, they would rather have us argue than actually look upwards and unite against that.
No, that's been my biggest problem with the narrative overall ever since the Floyd protests started. And these are still the Floyd protests.
Oh, of course. And it keeps getting revamped with another and another.
Nothing has changed. There have been more things happen since that began, but we're in the same era. So that's what kills me about it. The way that they try to make the narrative is that this is an us versus them. Don't let the protesters, sorry. Don't let the rioters ruin your business. They're going to burn your houses down. Instead, like we said a couple weeks ago when Nikki was on, there's somewhere in between. Yeah, they're not all good actors. And no, they're not all bad actors on both sides. If I can quote apparently someone that a lot of people worship, I'm sure there were very fine people on both sides. So maybe the truth is in the middle somewhere, and maybe, like you're saying exactly, Mike, instead of making the narrative us versus them, or rather rioters versus upstanding citizens that want to protect the nation, maybe it's just that there's a bunch of people that are really tired of the way things have been going on for the last 60 years. I would conservatively say 60 years.
We always have. And you know what? On this, on T4N, we always have really good conversations about stuff like this, about social injustice or politics or whatever. And I think we're all really, really good about, now we have our opinions, but we're really good at pointing out a lot of shit on both sides. And I think, you know, nobody would bat an eye to call out somebody on your own side that hosts this show. And I love that. But I feel like, you know, whenever we wrote for this show, did you not get this sense of fatigue? Like, I'm done talking about it. I'm done. You're done.
That every day, but you have to keep talking about it.
Yeah, but
you're to be done.
My chest, it's starting to ache. I get these shooting pains down my arm.
You didn't take your blood pressure medicine today.
Oh, fuck, dude. You're fucking right. I didn't.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. We should be talking about it. But, man, I'm just so tired of saying the same thing over and over again.
There's I can't remember his name. Like he had a lot of videos on Facebook. He was this super liberal Southern redneck.
No, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I remember who you're talking about.
Yeah, and like he had one video about like he's like, why the fuck do rednecks love the police so much?
Love
like, you know, why do rednecks love the police so much? Like, do you realize, or like our entire life is founded on being against authority and stuff like that? But no, I had this like beautiful vision. If you could get past this divide, and you have like Black Lives Matter, and then the stupid fucking rednecks that are broke but love Trump for some reason, but then they see that guillotine in front of Jeff Bezos' house, and they're just like, wait a minute. Did you bring that? No, I thought you did. Oh, hey, man. Yeah, we just become best friends. And then the poor rednecks and the people outraged at black violence just fucking come together, and then we have a perfect union. Because
all we have to do is get past all the generations of just beating it into their children's heads that black people are lesser than them. That's all.
And you know, we're not far removed, and we've said this how many times. We're not far removed from civil rights. Generation-wise, we're not. No. And the thing is,
we're not far removed from the Civil War either. Just to be perfectly honest.
I mean, things take time, and you know, Rodney King, and I've said this too. You know, it's more in your face now because of social media. You know, all the political.
Well, everybody has a camera on them.
Everybody's got a camera.
Has a recording device in your pocket.
And guaranteed the problem with these the problem with these precincts and areas, not the fact that, you know, that people are like, well, everybody's just disrespecting the police now. No, respect the authority. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when the authority fucks up. In 1994, the only reason why Rodney King was so publicized was because somebody on his balcony had a camcorder and he was recording it. That's the only reason.
If that video hadn't existed,
never hear about it.
It would have just been another black man being beaten in LA. That would have happened.
And that's the outrage with the fucking police today. It's like, no, you're mad you got caught.
That's it. Like here is everybody with a smartphone that you can get now for $60 for a Go phone of some kind. Doesn't have to be top quality. It doesn't need to be $1,000 phone.
Phone isn't even that bad.
Yeah, you're going to get the recording of it. And the thing is that it's so prevalent and so prominent now that more things are being caught. Now, with all those recordings, are there shitty recordings of people who feel like that there's an injustice being done to them and there's really not? Yes, of course. But the real injustices that are happening, they're being caught. And the thing is people don't like that. They don't want to see that. They don't want, and this goes even further into the whole resistance of the Black Lives Matter thing. And I believe personally, it has more to do with white guilt than what it does of actually not believing that, you know, blacks and whites don't have equal rights. I know I did a double negative. Basically what I'm saying is that people believe that there isn't an issue with inequality between blacks and whites. I think that has more to do with white guilt, that they don't want to see it. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to hear about it. And so they just go, let's go back to the way things were. You're bitching about nothing because I don't want to hear it because I'm not racist. Good. I'm glad you're not racist. I'm glad you don't think you're racist. You're probably not.
Yes.
And you're so fucking annoyed at everything. So then what is so bad about going, I hear you and I support you. And there should be something done about it because you've seen it countless times. Instead of trying to find an issue or he had fentanyl in his system or he had this or he raped a 14-year-old girl, which was proven false. Not Floyd, Jacob Blake. But I mean, like all these things
he is charged with like a third
degree sexual assault.
Guess what? If he wasn't doing it at that moment, he doesn't deserve to be shot.
He doesn't deserve to be shot.
No. You're absolutely right. That had nothing to do with the actual situation. That's just after the fact. We find out that, he's just this awful, he raped a child or some, whatever the hell they said. I don't give a shit.
This is what I don't understand. Like if you stop and think, and you know, maybe this is a different class of people we're talking about. Maybe this is a more affluent class, but I'm like, dude, do you know how many fucking people a day I interact with that have some fucking drug in their system that's probably not legal? We were all restaurant workers, bartenders. How many fucking people have you met that were on Adderall, cocaine, something like that? I guarantee every single. What?
Weed, alcohol, caffeine.
Well, you know, I'm going with the more like non accepted ones. You know,
narcotics.
Still, none of those are accepted.
But what I'm saying is like that. Okay, so what if you encounter someone that you know you're drinking with at the bar, and then eventually they got shot for doing nothing, and it's like, they had hydrocodone in their system, and it's like, so did half of the fucking people that hang out.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I could point out to you, like I could close my eyes and start pointing and probably find someone that has some drug in them. So you're basically saying that their death would be acceptable. It's like when people say you know, people crossing the border, arm the wall and shoot at them. Like, dude, that's a misdemeanor. Do you want someone to fucking walk up to you and blow your fucking brains out when you're jaywalking? Because that's a misdemeanor.
Right.
You know, you don't apply the same.
If we're going to talk about the law.
Right, because you are aside from that situation. You know, I don't do certain things. So therefore, if someone else does those things, they should be executed, or I shouldn't care about their execution. That's what the argument is. And
it's a shit excuse. It really is. You're ignoring all due process that this country is founded upon, basically.
Yes.
And that's terrible. It's awful. But it's also another way to just close your ears and not have to listen to, you know, an injustice, because you don't want to think that you're being held to a different standard than somebody else. And that's a guilt thing. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I really think that's where the argument has gone to. I also have a problem with any rioting that goes on, because you do lose your message in that. MLK said the same thing. But the problem with it is that when you're ignored for so long, it's only natural to become angrier, because you want your voice to be heard and you feel like it's not being heard. But the more angry one side gets, the angrier the other side's going to get. And we already saw, just like with Kyle Rittenhouse, now bullets start flying. You know, apparently he made a phone call to a friend before he was chased down. Before he was being chased down, he was like, I just shot somebody. And then the other shooting started happening. He fucking instigated it. It's hate.
I am done following that story.
God. Oh, me too. It's like, you know what happened. Fuck you.
Look at what he did. Oh, well, he did that because of this. Well, he wouldn't have done that if this hadn't happened. Okay, well, that wouldn't have happened if he wouldn't have done this. Well, he wouldn't have done this if these people hadn't have done. Just shut up, man.
He shouldn't be open carrying at 17 years old.
I don't care, man. Like, I'm so tired of hearing about it. Like, why are you defending this kid? He carried a weapon across state lines
and
for
kill
this
people.
Purpose. Or not specifically to kill people. I won't put that on him.
Well, no, but he did.
That is what happened, but I'm not going to put that on him. Yes, he carried a weapon across state lines. that should be illegal. It is. Hopefully he gets charged for it. He pulled the trigger and people died. He should probably be held responsible for that. I don't understand why there's the argument back and forth about, well, with this or that, or this or that. Well, he did this. Well, did you see what these people that he killed did? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
How are we justifying the deaths of people who have never been?
He shouldn't have the gun, and he shouldn't have been where he was. That's the end of the question.
That's it.
Done. If you want justice, that's your basis right there. What was he doing? Why was he there? What happened?
Who,
was
what,
he
when,
at
where,
fault?
why?
That's like saying that, yeah, I broke into this person's house and they pulled the gun and shot me, so I want to sue them for attempted murder.
The fuck, dude? Like it's so backwards. It's so
they
backwards.
didn't have any signs saying I couldn't be there.
I showed up to my house with a gun, and he pulled a gun on me and said, "Get the fuck off my property before I shoot you." And I was like, "What the fuck, bro?" And I called the cops because he pulled the gun on me.
Did you shout out Constitution? Did you shout out Bill of Rights?
I didn't.
Okay, so I've said my final thoughts on the whole matter. I wanted to get into Candace Owens, more into the Jacob Blake shooting. We didn't even have to do that tonight, and I'm glad that we did. We mentioned some of it, and that's cool. That's good enough for me.
As heated as I want to get.
Dustin, I think, came his pants a little bit because he got really angry there in the end because he's just fucking tired of it. Mason, do you have any final thoughts that you want to put in to this topic?
Oh, I just hope like that little shithead like applies for every job that he loves, and then they're like, no, you're bad publicity, and he never works again. He has to live with his mom and dad.
That's not going to happen.
He'll be at the RNC in 2024.
There are people on the other side of that argument that would be happy to take this kid. We've got Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, come on.
I just want to say this. Everyone just love one another. I hope everyone's very peaceful and understands that if people are lashing out in violence, it could very well be because their community wasn't listened to for years. And I also hope that you go out and vote, and I hope you double check that you're registered to vote. Like, don't get purged by anyone. And I hope you go out and vote for the right person. And I also hope that if ever you're filming a black person being shot, you don't get on Facebook and talk about fentanyl. Just shut the fuck up.
Please. So
I don't know.
I think we've gone pretty far with this conversation. I think it's almost time to wrap up tonight's episode number 116. Dustin, do you have anybody that we need to thank this evening? No. Okay.
Bleak.
You know who? Well, then you know who I would. So you know who I would like to thank. I'd like to thank Chadwick Boseman for showing true character to his craft, to his art, and making his whole career, something to strive for and admirable. So thank you, Chadwick Boseman, to never.
He was a fucking warrior through what you were doing. Like,
fuck.
Didn't even fucking flinch.
I wake up at 2:00 in the afternoon and hate myself.
How does one simultaneously be an amazing actor, able to pull off an incredibly good accent as far as, I guess, Wakanda goes, fighting cancer at the same time, and then, having to keep that all under wraps and just being the best person that you can be at the same time?
A fucking warrior, man. Like, that's say you.
I said thanks for nothing.
Thanks for everything. Thanks. You know what? You're in Wakanda and Valhalla.
Till Valhalla. Well, once again, guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad you guys have maintained your energy. I sound like I'm pissing in a cup right now.
Is that still going? Like, are you still mad about everything we're talking about? Like, the bottle just keeps getting bigger.
So, once again, guys, you guys can follow us on YouTube, the T4N Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, the T4N Podcast. You can join us live every Wednesday at 8:30. I want to thank my two co-hosts who mustered up their mental energy to even push out another one of these fucking episodes because you guys are fucking awesome.
Honestly, we were just
shut the fuck up. I love mustard.
We just talked about Chadwick Boseman. What we did was probably drink too much last night, and we were sleepy today.
No, I couldn't sleep. I just could not sleep last night. That was it. I'm on like 3 hours of sleep.
Weird. Guess what time I went to bed today?
I don't want to today. You already said today, and I don't even want to know.
9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was like 8 o'clock, right, and something like that.
Because you're watching Garfield.
Right. Well, it was Garfield 2. God, what was it?
Tale of Two Kitties. Tale of Two Kitties, dude.
All I could think of, I couldn't think of the title. All I was thinking of was Babe 2, Pig in the City, and I was just like, that's not right.
I thought you said Bane 2, Pig in the City. I'm like, no, guys, that was a good show. I already ended it. We're done. We stopped at Garfield, Tale of Two Kitties. So.
That's my lasagna novel.
That is my lasagna normal.
What was that? What are those Garfield memes where he's like really big? And what's his name? Dan?
John.
You can't hide from me, John.
Bullets can't stop me, John.
Oh God, dude. It's so stupid. Guys, that actually really was a good episode. That was.
It really was. No, don't get me wrong.